Ben Kovacs, the general manager of FloGrappling, recently made a claim so big it could shake the very mats we train on, that his company is financing the entire Brazilian jiu-jitsu ecosystem. In late 2025, he argued that a Flow subscription is what makes the whole professional scene possible. To paraphrase his point, he said the main reason many events even exist is because Flow is either producing them or cutting them a check. That is a bold, sweeping statement. It positions FloGrappling not just as a media company, but as the central bank of professional grappling. But is it true? Or is FloGrappling a giant that's suddenly facing new threats from powerful competitors? Today, we're digging into the money, the power, and the controversy at the heart of professional jiu-jitsu. We'll look at the evidence for his claim, the mountain of evidence against it, and what it all means for the future of the sport we love. All right, to be fair, let's start by building the best possible case for what Ben Kovacs is saying. To do that, we need to understand FloGrappling's business model and its undeniable impact on the sport. When Kovacs says your Flow membership makes the ecosystem happen, he's talking about the flywheel effect a subscription service can create. The idea is simple. Fans pay a subscription fee, which creates a huge pool of cash. FloGrappling then uses that cash to buy broadcast rights, produce its own high-level shows, and pay athletes. For over a decade, FloGrappling has been the single biggest investor in pro grappling. When Kovacs took over as GM in April 2025, he inherited a company that had poured massive resources into the sport. They created a home for events that used to have spotty, unreliable, or zero broadcast options. They did this for some of the biggest organizations out there, including, for many years, the ADCC World Championships, and, to this day, the entire slate of IBJJF tournaments. If you want to watch IBJJF Worlds, Pans, or Euros, FloGrappling is your only option. They are the exclusive broadcast partner. That's a powerful spot to be in. This exclusivity brings in revenue, and that money gets reinvested. They pay a rights fee to the IBJJF. They handle the production. This injects real cash into that organization, money that helps it run its operations. The same model applied to their old deal with ADCC and their current partnerships with promotions like Polaris and BJJ Stars. In April 2025, they even locked down an exclusive deal with BJJ Stars in Brazil through 2027, a major move in the sport's homeland. Beyond just streaming other people's shows, FloGrappling created its own premier event, Who's Number One, or WNO. WNO quickly became a staple, putting on some of the most anticipated super fights in the sport and paying elite athletes directly to compete. They even signed Gordon Ryan, arguably the biggest star in no-gi, to a 7-figure multi-fight contract that sent shockwaves through the industry. So when Ben Kovacs makes his claim, this is the world he's seeing. A world where FloGrappling has the deepest content library, a near monopoly on the biggest gi organization, its own successful show, and a long history of being the main broadcaster for countless events. He argues this whole structure is funded by that annual subscription fee paid by fans. From his perspective, it's easy to see why he thinks FloGrappling is the engine driving everything. It's a compelling story. But is it the whole story? Step outside the FloGrappling boardroom, and you hear a very different tune. For every fan who sees the subscription as a necessary evil to support the sport, there's another who sees it as an overpriced, frustrating, and sometimes deceptive service. Whenever a big event streams on Flow, social media and Reddit light up with comments from people who, to put it mildly, are not happy. So what are their complaints, and are they justified? Complaint number one, by a long shot, is the price. At around $150 a year, FloGrappling is a big ask for the average fan. The problem for many isn't just the price itself, but the feeling of being railroaded. For years, the company was criticized for its pricing strategy, especially for allegedly hiding the monthly subscription option during big events to push people into the more expensive annual plan. This didn't just annoy people, it led to serious legal trouble. In November 2022, a class action lawsuit was filed against the parent company FloSports, claiming it misled customers into signing up for a monthly plan, only to charge them the full annual fee. The lawsuit also alleged that FloSports charged renewal fees without proper consent. It cited over 900 complaints to the Better Business Bureau with these exact issues. FloSports eventually settled that lawsuit in late 2023. While they didn't admit wrongdoing, the settlement validated the frustrations of thousands of customers who felt like they'd been tricked. But the legal headaches didn't stop there. FloGrappling also had to settle a multi-million-dollar class action lawsuit for violating the Video Privacy Protection Act. This suit claimed they were using a Facebook pixel to track what users were watching without their consent and sharing that data. For a subscription service, that's a massive breach of trust. On top of the pricing and legal dramas, there are the ancient complaints about the user experience. For years, paying customers have put up with buggy streams, production glitches, and cringy commentary. During one recent ADCC trials, the broadcast had so many problems that FloGrappling's own hosts had to publicly apologize, admitting the company failed and promising to go back and fix it. When you pay a premium price, you expect a premium product. For many, the execution has just never been there. This mix of high cost, sketchy business practices, and a clunky platform has created deep resentment in the community. It has framed FloGrappling not as the sport's generous patron, but as an exploitative monopoly. And that begs a crucial question. If the very people whose subscriptions are supposed to be financing the ecosystem feel this squeezed, how stable is that model really? Maybe the biggest hole in the claim that FloGrappling is financing the entire ecosystem is the sudden arrival of rich, powerful competitors. The pro grappling scene isn't a one-horse race anymore. It's become a global arms race, and FloGrappling is facing threats from rivals with terrifyingly deep pockets. The most obvious threat is the biggest name in combat sports, the UFC. For years, UFC Fight Pass dabbled in grappling, but in 2023, they made a massive move by poaching the ADCC World Championships from FloGrappling in a multi-year deal. Losing the Olympics of grappling was a huge blow to Flo's prestige and library. It was definitive proof that another major player was willing and able to compete for the biggest prizes in the sport. But the UFC isn't just buying other people's shows, it's building its own empire. They are becoming a major force. More importantly, they're offering athletes exclusive contracts with highly competitive pay structures. This creates a powerful financial reason for top athletes to sign with the UFC, pulling them out of the talent pool for WNO and other shows. We're already seeing a split in the sport where top athletes are locked into contracts that prevent dream matchups from ever happening. And then there's the money flowing from the East. A new wave of promotions, some backed by oligarchs and oil wealth, are completely rewriting the rules of what athletes get paid. Promotions like the revived ACB, AIGA in Kazakhstan, and ADXC in Dubai are offering mind-boggling purses. Kovacs himself even complained about this, mentioning an athlete who got paid $182,000 to go fight for 4 minutes at an overseas event. Those are numbers that FloGrappling just hasn't shown it can or will match. This has created a free market for talent, and athletes are going where the money is. The best example might be the Craig Jones Invitational, or CJI. Frustrated with athlete pay, Craig Jones launched his own event, offering a staggering $1 million prize for the winner and $10,000 appearance fees for every competitor. That single event put more prize money into the sport than WNO likely pays out in an entire year. The hard truth is that FloGrappling seems to be struggling to keep up. Kovacs himself has admitted that grappling is a labor of love for the parent company, FloSports, and that WNO actually loses money. He's even talked about hard conversations coming in 2026, hinting at pay cuts or format changes to make WNO financially sustainable. That doesn't sound like a company financing an entire ecosystem. It sounds like a company feeling the heat from a market that's getting more competitive and a lot more expensive. The BJJ ecosystem isn't just being financed by Flow subscriptions. It's being supercharged by UFC money, oil money, and independent athlete-first ventures. Ben Kovacs' claim really hinges on this idea that without FloGrappling, major events would just disappear. He paints a picture of dependency, where organizations are propped up by Flow's money and production. But if you look closer at these organizations, you see a totally different story. One of independence, their own revenue streams, and a history that has nothing to do with FloGrappling. Let's start with the IBJJF. The International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation is the biggest tournament organizer in the world, and it was thriving long before FloGrappling was founded in 2006. The IBJJF has its own solid, independent way of making money. It brings in massive revenue from the annual membership fees every competitor has to pay, plus the hefty registration fees for every single tournament. With thousands of competitors paying hundreds of dollars each for events like Worlds, Pans, and Euros, the IBJJF is a self-sustaining machine. The deal with Flow is a nice bonus, but it's not their financial lifeblood. The IBJJF would absolutely keep running its tournaments with or without FloGrappling. Then there's ADCC. Like the IBJJF, ADCC came way before FloGrappling and built its prestige all on its own. Flow was its broadcast partner for years, but suggesting it was the reason ADCC exists is just wrong. The case of Polaris, a top UK-based show, throws another wrench in the narrative. Polaris was on UFC Fight Pass, then came back to FloGrappling. This wasn't a sign of Flow's dominance, but more a reflection of a tough market. Even with big names, Polaris struggled to generate huge buzz on its own, suggesting its return to FloGrappling was a practical move to find the biggest audience, not a sign of financial desperation. But maybe the most telling example is BJJ Stars in Brazil. BJJ Stars proved it could be a profitable, independent show, reportedly pulling in around 8,000 pay-per-view buys for its events all by itself. It has its own loyal fan base and was successful enough to turn down offers from the UFC. It seems FloGrappling didn't prop up a failing promotion. They saw a successful, independent company and spent the money to acquire its valuable content. These organizations aren't just satellites orbiting the FloGrappling star. They are planets in their own right, with their own gravity, their own money, and their own history. They are part of a diverse and tough ecosystem that was here before FloGrappling and will almost certainly be here long after. The final pillar holding up Kovacs' claim is the idea that FloGrappling is a media giant rolling in cash. But the reality for its parent company, FloSports, is a bit more complicated. FloSports isn't a small-time operation. It's a venture-backed company that has raised over $100 million. Its last funding round was in April 2025, led by an Indian sports tech company. While that sounds great, it also means they have investors who expect to see a return on their money. And by Kovacs' own admission, the grappling vertical isn't a big moneymaker. He called it a labor of love. After more than a decade, if FloGrappling still isn't profitable, that's a problem. Now, to be fair, recent reports from late 2025 suggest the parent company, FloSports, is actually doing quite well. The CEO stated that the company as a whole has become profitable, covering over 25 different sports. This suggests that while other sports may be carrying the load, the grappling division is an underperformer. So they have money, but the real question is, How much of it are they willing to keep losing on a single sport, especially as competition drives costs through the roof? This financial pressure is made worse by all the reputational damage. We already talked about the lawsuits, but it doesn't stop there. The company has been blasted for hitting athletes with copyright strikes for posting clips of their own matches, clips that are basically free advertising. There was also the controversy around a commentator who raised over $17,000 for a documentary that was never delivered. And who could forget the disastrous broadcast of the Craig Jones Invitational 2, where the stream was cut off mid-event before being dumped on YouTube for free, destroying trust with viewers and partners alike. These aren't the moves of a confident industry leader. They're signs of a company struggling with its identity and its relationship with the community it claims to serve. So, what's the final verdict? Is Ben Kovacs right? Is FloGrappling financing the entire BJJ ecosystem? Based on all the evidence, the answer is a clear and resounding no. While FloGrappling is without a doubt a huge financial player and has invested a ton of money into the sport, the claim that it's financing the entire ecosystem is a massive overstatement. The jiu-jitsu world is way bigger, more diverse, and more resilient than that. The ecosystem is financed by the hundreds of thousands of us who pay our gym dues every month. It's financed by parents paying tournament fees for their kids. It's financed by the IBJJF's massive membership base. It's financed by the legacy of ADCC, and now, more than ever, it's being financed by the deep pockets of the UFC and cash-rich international promotions who are setting the new standard for what top athletes get paid. Ben Kovacs' statement feels less like a fact and more like a defensive marketing pitch from a company that feels its control slipping away. FloGrappling built its empire when it was the only game in town. That era is over. It's now fighting a war on multiple fronts, against competitors with more money, against a community that feels taken advantage of, and against athletes who now have more options than ever. The hard conversations Kovacs mentioned for 2026 are probably already happening. If FloGrappling can't or won't match the money being offered elsewhere, it risks becoming a secondary platform. And honestly, that might not be a bad thing for jiu-jitsu. Competition is healthy. It drives up pay for athletes, forces companies to make better products, and gives fans more choices. The ecosystem isn't collapsing, it's diversifying. It's outgrowing its need for a single gatekeeper. What do you think? Is FloGrappling still essential for jiu-jitsu, or is the sport moving on? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the business of BJJ.